Hello everyone and welcome back to a new video. In this video I'm going to do the next part of my top 50 films because someone did ask if I could do it, and I am going to do it because it's something to do even if it doesn't get very many views. I enjoy talking about all these films, and I like to get my thoughts out on them. So this list is going to be 11 through 20. My number 11 you already know because it was my honourable mention in my last list, but we're just going to get straight on with it so this can be done as quickly as possible. I've got them all here, all of them, but one of them is on DVD because it does not have a UK Blu-ray release, and I don't generally import Blu-rays. That is Groundhog Day. I won't talk too much about that because you will know my thoughts from the last video. Just think it's highly rewatchable and a very funny film. That's all I'll say about that. Next up, at number 12, is a film from 1995 starring Robert De Niro, Val Kilmer, and Al Pacino, and that is Heat. This is obviously the story about two robbers, would you say? They're like they're criminals basically. Val Kilmer, well, it's a group, but the leader is Robert De Niro's character, and Al Pacino is the cop that is trying to take them down, find out who they are, and then take them down. And it's just very, very well done. For a lot of people, the third act is quite weak, but I really enjoyed it. I like what they did with the story. I thought the acting in this was great, and obviously this was the first time that both Robert De Niro and Al Pacino shared the screen together. They were both in The Godfather Part 2, but they never got to share any screen time together, so they'd never actually been in a film where they'd been in the same scene together before this. And I just thought this was fantastic. I don't think it actually won any Oscars, which is surprising because it is a fantastic film, obviously directed by Michael Mann. I would highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. It's just a great crime thriller film. I will show you the disc. That's it. That's all you get. And yeah, so my number 12 is Heat. Next up, my number 13 is my favourite boxing film from my favourite actor. So obviously it's also my favourite film of his, and that is Southpaw with Jake Gyllenhaal, Forest Whitaker, and Rachel McAdams. I just think this is so well done because it's not heavily, unlike the Rocky films and most of the boxing films I've seen, it isn't heavily focused on boxing. It's more about family and struggling to live in society, and what happens when you lose everything, and building it back up again. And obviously it's about this Jake Gyllenhaal's character, and he got absolutely ripped for this performance. And I've probably said in a previous video, this came out 6 months after Nightcrawler, and those two characters are so different. You wouldn't know it's the same person acting. Well, you do, but if you know what I mean, it's just completely different. Like, he's a completely different person, which is why he's my favourite actor, because every single performance Jake Gyllenhaal gives is different. It's not the same, it's completely different, and just that's what makes a good actor, I think. But he plays Billy the Great Hope, who is a boxer, and one day something happens, which means that he loses his daughter. She goes into care because he becomes volatile and he cannot look after her. So he has to try and fight, get a job, and try and look after her, get her back and look after her. And it's just a really, really well done film, and I would highly recommend watching this if you're a fan of Jake Gyllenhaal, or if you like boxing films in general, or just in general if you're a film lover, because it's not just about boxing, it's more of a drama, and it is very, very well done. So that's Southpaw. Next up, at number 14, is the only DVD I have in this list, and that is Bicentennial Man with Robin Williams. This was directed by Chris Columbus, who obviously did Robin Williams. He directed him in not Home Alone. He did do Home Alone, but he directed Robin Williams in Mrs. Doubtfire, and he's also directed Stepmom, which is another great film. And it's basically about this android or robot or whatever, called Andrew, and it's about him finding humanity and what it is to be human. And it's just a very well done film. Very sad, obviously, the ending, but it's just, I think it's very well done, and is, for me, Robin Williams' best performance and his best film. Um, it's just great. I could not recommend this enough if you've not seen it, which some people might not have because this isn't one of Robin Williams' bigger films. But if you haven't seen it, if you can find it, I watched it on Amazon Prime, but that was about a year ago, so it may not be on there now. But if you can find it, I'd definitely highly recommend watching it because, as I say, it is, for me, one of Robin Williams' best performances, and it's just a really nice, feel-good film for the most part. I haven't shown discs for all that I didn't show because I had a slipcover, but I have changed the case for it to reread. It was in an old case, but it's just a boring disc because it's a DVD anyway. But yeah, didn't take the other one off because it had a slipcover and I don't want to faff around. Anyway, you've probably already just seen what the next one is, but the next one at number 15 is another one of my favourite comedies from 1980. That is The Blues Brothers with the late John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd. Obviously, this is about two brothers that are like jazz musicians, and they've just got out of prison, and they were raised in an orphanage by nuns, and they learn that their church is going to close because of tax in 11 days unless they do something. So they decided to go and raise the money, get their group, the Blues Brothers, back together and go around the country and raise money so they have enough money to keep the church open. And it's got cameos from people like Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles, who was very famous. Jamie Foxx played him in a film. He was a blind singer and he played the piano. And it also has James Brown. It's just a really, really good film, and it's also got really small performances from people like John Candy and Carrie Fisher as well. It's really funny as well. The scene in the mall with the police cars, that's hilarious. I've only seen it the once, but I definitely will be rewatching this again, and it is one that I am likely to upgrade on 4K at some point down the line because I'm sure it looks great, and it's definitely worth the upgrade. So that is The Blues Brothers. Next up at number 16 is what I don't know, maybe, probably, I think this is the first Kevin Costner film on the list. It's definitely one of my favourites, and that is Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. The best Robin Hood film. I have seen the other two, the more recent ones with Russell Crowe and Taron Egerton. The Russell Crowe one I found a bit too boring, although I do really like Ridley Scott, but I don't think he did Robin Hood justice. And the Taron Egerton one, whilst it's fun with a lot of action, it didn't have as much heart as this film did. Obviously, this also stars Alan Rickman as the villain, the Sheriff of Nottingham. A great performance from him. And I think it's Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. And Christian Slater, who plays what does he play? Is it Will? Doesn't say on here, but I have a feeling it's Will he plays. He's part of the Merry Men, so to speak. But yeah, this is a great film. Definitely the best Robin Hood film outside of the Disney animated film. And I would definitely recommend watching it if you haven't seen it. It is rather long. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes, but it's a fun film. A lot of stuff going on, so it doesn't feel long. Even has a cameo from Sean Connery in it at the end. Yeah, so that is Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Next up at number 17 is a film from 2007 starring Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman, and that is The Bucket List. This is just a great film. I had seen this once before I got it on Blu-ray, and then I rewatched it again recently, and I absolutely just love this. It's just a lovely film. That's the word I would use to describe it. A lovely film. There's bits of comedy, there's bits of sadness in it, it's good drama in it, and it's just about a friendship between these two characters, and obviously they're trying to do everything on their bucket list together before they kick the bucket, so to speak. And yeah, it's just a great film. Not too long either, just over an hour and a half. Um, one might be my favourite sorry, get my words out again. Might be my favourite Jack Nicholson film, but I also really like As Good as It Gets, About Schmidt, and Something's Got to Give. I think they're all fantastic films as well, and his performance in terms of endearment, which he did win an Oscar for, was also fantastic. I am actually getting something with him in, hopefully, next week, so stay tuned and you'll see what that is. It's a classic that I've never seen but I've heard great things about. I'll just tease it for that. You can keep guessing what it is, but you should see that at some point next week, hopefully. All things good, I should get that. But yeah, The Bucket List, fantastic film. Would definitely recommend watching it if you haven't seen it already. And then next up is my number 18, which is The Blind Side, starring Sandra Bullock, and she won her first Oscar from this. And it's a fantastic true story about a man, Michael, who basically, I don't think he's homeless in it, but he's not got, his parents don't really care. I don't know, I think his mother's still alive, but she doesn't really look after him. So Sandra Bullock decides to adopt him, take him in, and he's a football player, American football player, and it's just a really moving film based on a true story. Not much else I can say about it except it's just a really great drama. And if you like true stories, I would definitely recommend this out. And if you like Sandra Bullock, because this is her best performance she has done yet. So yeah, that's I didn't show. Hang on, I'll go back and show this. That's the disc art for The Bucket List, and this is the disc art for The Blind Side. You got the Blu-ray and the digital disc, which you can't use anymore anyway. And then at number 19 is my favourite space. I don't know if you want to call it space, because the next one's also a space type of film, but that is The Martian, directed by Ridley Scott, starring Matt Damon. Got a massive ensemble cast. About a man that gets left behind. He's on Mars when the rest of his crew think he's dead. They leave without him after a storm, and he has to basically live on Mars and survive until they can rescue him. And I think the missions, they at first they don't even they just assume he's dead, but he's been living on this on Mars for so long, and then they realise that he isn't dead and he is still alive living on Mars, and they have to go back and get him. And it's just a great film. Yeah, obviously he makes his own potatoes, grows his own potatoes. I don't know. I think he uses his, you know what? I'm not going to say the word because I want to keep it PG. But he uses that to help as fertilizer to help grow the potatoes, and it's just a really good, really well done film. And yeah, I would definitely recommend watching it if you haven't already, because this is one of Matt Damon's best, I think. And then finally, but certainly not least, we have Contact at number 20 with Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey, and directed by my favourite director, Robert Zemeckis. Obviously, this is about first contact with aliens, and Jodie Foster plays, I believe she plays like an astronomer, yeah, and she's been obsessed with space since she was a young child. And Matthew McConaughey is like a religious scholar, and they're both trying to they don't know, he is on the side that it's not real, there is no such thing as aliens, and she's trying to prove that there is, and it's basically just how humans make first contact with aliens. And I think this is probably the most realistic way it would ever happen if it did happen. You don't really see much of the aliens, you don't see them in alien form, it's right at the end, and it's just really interesting, really well done film, and great performances all around from both Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey, and it's just a really great film that I would definitely recommend if you haven't seen it already. And that is it, that is 11 to 20. My next video, or it might not be my next video, but the next part will be obviously 21 to 30, which will be up in a couple of days, I hope. But if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a like. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. You can also dislike as well if you didn't like it, and let me know in the comments what you didn't like about it, and I will try and improve it in the next video. Also leave comments down below on any feedback. Have you seen any of those films? Do you own any of them? And yeah, don't forget to turn the notification bell on if you want to know when I have new videos out, because I don't have a schedule at the moment, so they could go up at any point. And that's all for now. Until next time, take care everybody. Goodbye.